Happy Monday. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you all are well and you've had a wonderful, productive Monday. Things are good. Stopping in to say hello and to talk a little bit about social media. Hello. Hey, if you join, say hey, let me know. Hey, Miss Green, how are you? I miss you guys. When I'm not in here, I'm like, I need to see what's going on. The momagers and the dadagers. So I wanted to pop in and just talk a little bit about social media. Oh, thank you. Hey, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you. This is called the just let it be. It's how it worked out. Sometimes it works out all right. Today's one of those days where I just kind of like took it down and it just did whatever it was going to do. So I'm excited about that. I'm doing good. I'm doing very well, actually. Thank you for asking. So I wanted to pop in and talk to you all about social media and your young mogul, how it affects them. And, because I feel like it's kind of a touchy subject when it comes to us parenting and managing our young moguls. And we're a lot of times, rightfully so, we're worried about what access they should have, especially when they're 6, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10, 11. Really, you're not even supposed to be on Facebook technically until you're like 13, I think. You're not allowed to have your own Facebook page under your name if you're under 13 years old. So that can kind of pose some challenges for some of us that have kids that are running businesses, So I just wanted to come in and talk a little bit about that and see if we have any questions and if you all have any tips, any strategies, any ideas. I just wanted to just have a conversation as usual. Just how we do this, pop in, say hello, tell me where you're from, say hey, drop your kids, since we're talking about social media, drop their social media links so that everybody watching, listening can go back and like their page, because we need to make sure that they're connected to us, because the way social media works is if they're connected to you, some of your friends, depending on your settings, they'll be able to see what pages you like, who you're following, and whatever and then you'll automatically share things. And that just kind of just broadens their exposure, right? So we want to make sure that our kids are getting exposed to as many people as possible, because they wouldn't be in this business if they weren't trying to build a brand and also trying to make money, right? Trying to help people. Whatever the mission is, the more people that catch on to it, the better, right? So that's really important. But I know, like I said before, it's kind of a touchy subject only because they're so young and we have to be so careful, the inboxes. So obviously we have to make sure we're monitoring everything. Xander didn't even have a password to know how to get into her social media, and everything we did until she was, I don't know, really, maybe she might have been like 16 or 15 before she even, because she was just so used to me being in charge of everything. And then when we planned and we scheduled everything, we did it together. So, I really didn't have to worry about her getting a weird inbox or message. And they do come, especially on Instagram. If your child has Instagram, you'll notice that the inboxes and the DMs or whatever, they're actually kind of weird. So you want to make sure you're monitoring everything and you have access to everything, and do not let them post or do anything without you, right? Unless they're obviously old enough. But even when they're 17, what's old enough, 17 or 18, depending, they still might not have the messaging right, they still might be a little concerned with how they deliver the content or deliver the information. So if they're out somewhere, you really don't want them you want them to be themselves, but you want to make sure they're tagging the appropriate people, they're being respectful, and that they are, kind of clearly just describing the surrounding or whatever it is happening, because it's a business page, right? So you don't want it to be all emojis or all slang. You want to make sure that if somebody else comes in, especially if they're selling something, 9 times out of 10, they're selling it to us, right? The other adults, because we're the ones with the money. Unless they're, depending on their demographic, if it's for teenagers, then they can relate, but we want to make sure that it's still professional and polished, right? So all those things we have to take in consideration. In addition to safety. So safety is primarily our concern. So if we move beyond that and you understand safety and you're managing it and you have the passwords and you guys do everything up together, then we're good. So then the next thing we want to make sure is what's being shared on these social media pages. I feel like sometimes we get stuck because we get caught up in looking at all the hoopla and highlights. I call it highlights because usually you don't really know what's really happening in people's lives. You just kind of get the highlights, right? So it all seems great and it's really not, which is fine. It depends on your brand and the story you're trying to tell, what you share, what you don't share. But I feel like sometimes that can be a little intimidating to us. So especially when it comes to our kids, we're like, we don't feel like we should be talking to our public or our tribe or our people, whoever's our community, which is who, that's what we're going to call the people that are actually like your page. They become a part of your community. They like your page. They follow you on Instagram. They follow you on Twitter. That's their acceptance into your tribe or your community. So most of the time when people join our community, they want to hear from us. They want to know what we're doing. They want to know our opinions on things. They want to know what new thing we have coming up or where we've been or where we're going or what it was like there. They want the kind of like behind the scenes inside scoop on it, So that's really what we're delivering is more of a feeling, a connection with them through our social media channels, So that's a part of branding and your messaging and building your tribe, right? But I feel like, because sometimes we as parents, as the managers, we're not really sure because we're like, oh, they're just a kid. I don't know what to tell people, but let me tell you, their age should not matter when it comes to building a clean and robust and follow-worthy social media presence, so you still really want to make sure that you're still giving good content. So no matter how large your team is or how small your team is, you still want to spend some time, once a month or once a week, depending on what your schedule looks like, and create some content, say, okay, well, we make, we normally make pink and white cupcakes, but now we're going to get ready to launch the brown and yellow cupcakes. Let's figure out how we're going to deliver that message to our following, to our community, So this week, we're only going to talk about the benefits of brown and yellow cupcakes. I'm making this up as I go, right? Or we'll talk about this new lotion or this new hat or these new fruits that we're growing or these new bracelets I made or this new mascara I made or lipstick I made, whatever. But that is where you want to make sure you're building it in and you're scheduling it. And so that way you can actually deliver the message in a consistent way, right? As opposed to you be like, hey, here's a picture of our new thing. You should buy it. And it's like, well, you didn't really tell me anything about it. And just because you're a kid, you might get a couple sales because you're a kid and that's exciting. However, I still, just like any other brand, I want to know why, So just like you think about what entices you to buy, what information, what details do you need to know before you invest, right? Those are the same things we need to make sure our children's pages are relaying, that same information needs to come across to their customer base, to their community, to their tribe, right? So we need to give details. So creating a content calendar is a really excellent way for you to stay on track, for you to organize your ideas, your launches, your promotions, your new products, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're reaching the people, but you're also reaching them with good, robust content. Nobody wants to just see a whole bunch of pictures of whatever this thing is, but you still haven't really told us what it is. So that brings me to, if you see me looking, I'm over here, I'm trying to see if there's any comments because I can't always see everything on this platform that I'm on. So that's important, but that also brings me to, Lord, I just forgot my train of thought. What was I talking about? We talked about content. Okay, so when I get to your page, when I get to your child's page, your son, your daughter's page, your niece, your nephew's page, your grandchild's page, whoever it is, whichever child in your life that you are managing, it's really important that I understand right from the beginning what it is you're selling me. What is the service? What is the product? What is it that you have that I can buy? Or what is it that you have that I should be wanting to invest in? Either way, it's an investment. So if you're collecting canned goods, or you're collecting money, or you're just you're selling a feel good philanthropic campaign, it's still a sale, right? Because you can't grow without my money, without the community's money. So you're asking for people to invest, whether we're investing their time, their energy, their attention, or their finances, their actual coins. It's still an investment. So if I'm coming to your space, if I'm coming to your storefront, which your social media is your storefront, I need to know, what am I investing in? What are you asking me to invest in, right? So that's really important. So I want to make, yes, content is king. You're absolutely right. So I want to make sure that the first thing I see is what you're selling. It needs to be clear. I don't want to see a whole bunch of pictures of you smiling and then the grass and your puppy and what you had for dinner, all those different things, because it's confusing. I scroll a little bit, and if I still haven't seen the lip gloss, if I still haven't seen the cupcakes, I'm on to something else. You have to understand, we only have a few seconds while we catch people. So when we get them there, we need to wow them there, or they're going to move on. So you think about your timeline, you're scrolling, right? But what catches you? So when you think about your social media, your child's social media, you want to think, what are you attracted to? Once again, what do you decide that you're going to invest in? And those are the things that you're attracted to, most likely other people like you will be attracted to those things as well. And the other thing along those lines, if you really want to take in consideration, your child's going to have all these amazing ideas. So you want to implement that as well. But also on this platform, if you're speaking about Facebook, their peers are really not here. Right. So you might want to allow them to get a little bit more creative with Instagram, with photo layout and things that little girls or little boys or whoever their target audience is, they should know, and you should know, might want to see. Or Snapchat, right? I'm trying. Like I have one. I just started when we were in Washington. I'm working on it. But for Xandra has one, and she does it for her own brand, but I don't need that for me, really, because that's not really where my people are. Some of my people are there, but not the most of my people are not. They're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram a little bit, we're on Twitter, so you really want to know where your tribe is, where your community is, so that way then you decide how you're going to deliver the content to them and how you're going to show up in front of them, right? Every platform is a little bit different. So there's certain things that you need to know and understand about each platform in order for you to understand how you should be communicating with your tribe and your community on those platforms. Let me know if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer them. So what should you be sharing? You should be sharing your process, your mission. If there's a challenge, if you're connected to a philanthropic campaign, or there's a charity that you're giving back to, you can, leverage that, that charity and say, hey, this is what's happening over here. This is what they're doing. They just built this. They just donated this. So, cross sharing other people's content, as long as it's relevant and in line with what you're doing, will also bring you followers, right? Will also attract more attention to you and give you content. You can share whatever blog posts you're putting out, what other newsletters you're putting out. Don't just send a newsletter to whoever's on your your email list, because other people on social media are like, oh, you say new on the blog, hot on the blog this week, a newsletter, whatever, or are you a newsletter subscriber? Because they got 10% off, so you want to intrigue people and entice people. So even though you're doing that religiously, or if not, that's okay. But if you're putting it out there, let the world know you're putting it out there. Because a lot of times we're like, no one subscribed, or no one communicated, or nobody replied, or no one responded. It's because you didn't tell them. You have to tell people. And then remember the idea of the scroll. So just because you told them on Tuesday at noon does not mean you don't need to say it again at all this week. You might need to say it every day, depending on what it is. If it's a launch, every day. If it's a new pen color, or new highlighter, or a new lip gloss, or a new cupcake flavor, we're going to blow it up and make it crazy and make people feel like they can't live without it, right? That you need to talk to them every day about, because I might only see the one post. You post it once, it goes in my newsfeed Tuesday around 12:30. If I happen to catch it, that's gone. If you keep posting it, then okay, while I'm scrolling. A lot of people aren't coming directly to your page unless somehow you've gotten their attention and are like, oh, let me check her out. Let me do some research, right? But the majority of the posts and the content that people see is when they're scrolling, or if a friend shared it or somebody else saw it or commented or said so-and-so liked blah, 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 you know? So you want to make sure you're talking to your audience often, okay? And you're building that community. Let me check in here and see if there's any questions. Oh yeah, Melissa says Etsy and Pinterest for the younger audience. That's true. Pinterest, well, Pinterest is actually starting to change. Yeah, because Pinterest used to be for like, you know, stay-at-home moms or crafters that had that kind of, you know, but now people are starting to use Pinterest more so, especially with building a brand. And, you know, I know when my daughter, when she was planning her wedding, we started planning her wedding last year. She got married this spring. Everything she did, she built in Pinterest. She built the brand board. She built everything. Even when Xandra was doing her rebrand, she built her brand boards in Pinterest. Just all these collections of things that she was, you know, excited about. So yeah, so it's actually definitely Pinterest is totally making a transition, and actually kids are starting to use it to express themselves and to communicate. Tumblr is another one that's more like a picture blog. There's a whole bunch of them out there. So some of the things that I think you should not share. So we talked about the things you should share. What shouldn't you share unless it's relevant to your brand? So if you're selling shoes and clothes and jewelry or makeup, do I really care what you had for dinner last night? Probably not. That can stay on your personal page. Right? Am I going to buy your lip gloss if you told me exactly how you feel about such and such or whatever you saw on TV, or whoever, you know, sent you an angry message? Probably not. Right? So your feelings, your emotions, unless they're positive, like angry things that could possibly alienate people or make people see a not so nice side of you, should not be shared, right? So that's another reason why we have to make sure we're monitoring what's happening with the kids and we're approving everything, spell checking it before they actually hit post or you actually hit post. You want to make sure that their kids are being authentic. You know, I know a lot of our kids are doing videos, you know, and videos are definitely important when we're building a brand. So if you're not, you know, doing a lot of video, you might want to figure out how you can incorporate that into your child's brand, because the world wants to see who they are. But you want to make sure that it's not scripted. Let me see. It doesn't come across as if it's totally scripted. So it might be a good idea to have it scripted so they know, you know, what points and the content and the flow and what they need to include. But you don't want it to be like, hi, my name is Tamara, and I'm here to talk about, you know, graduating from high school, and I'm only 5 years old, right? So you want to make sure it's something they actually experience so that you can kind of feel a little passion behind it. And it's sincere and authentic, because we have fierce competition out there, you know what I mean? And that's okay, right? There's competition everywhere. You walked in the aisle, how many cereals are there? How many sodas are there? How many deodorants are there? How many mascaras are there? But they're still successful, right? But you just want to make sure that you're coming across as authentic and realistic as possible, because that's how you're going to build your tribe. You're going to attract them to the real you, your child, the real you and your child. So if your child is so scripted that I can't relate or I feel weird about it, that's not a good thing, you know? So you want to make sure that that's not happening, and you're not putting so much pressure on them where they actually clam up and they can't enjoy the experience, right? Because we don't want to make it seem like we're like, okay, lights, camera, action, go. We really want to make sure that they're like, hey, I'm Tamara, and I'm so glad. And the reason why I love making lip gloss, or I love making pens, or I love making jewelry is because, you know, so you want to make sure that they feel it and it comes across that that it's their brand and it's their thoughts and ideas, you know. Another point, I know, let me see how long I've been talking to y'all. Another thing, Another thing I was thinking about is it's really important that we use social media to our advantage, and that the children understand that they need to use it to their advantage. And by that, and in this moment, I mean connecting with other kid entrepreneurs. You know, there's some really, and I keep talking about collaborations, but there's some entrepreneurs in this group, in their community that they come across. If you search hashtags on Instagram, that they could make some powerful connections. You know, so really don't overlook the idea of collaboration or the idea of sharing each other's platforms or products or services, you know, because I just feel like as a community, we're stronger together. And it also gives the kids an opportunity to really see that it takes all the yucky out of it. It takes all that weird feeling, because I know a lot of you has probably been to a vending event, and and everyone shows up. I remember when Xander was little, and we would do it at an event, and she'd work hard and stay up late and do all these different things. And then we show up and they'd put her next to another soap maker, right? Or another kid selling bath bombs. And it was like, she'd be like, are you kidding? You know what I mean? You know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to go say hello. We're going to talk. We're going to take pictures together. We're going to support each other, and we're going to have fun. That's what we're going to do. That's what's going to happen, and it turns out Xander hates making bath bombs. So that kid loves making bath bombs, but she doesn't really know how to make soap. Guess what? We're going to make holiday baskets together. We're going to promote each other, right? We're here. We're in the same space. We're going to support each other. And that's it. So the way you respond to things and the way they see you respond to things, and the more is important. And the more you can introduce the idea of sharing and working together, and that there's enough for all of us, that will definitely it'll just translate into them being more successful, in my opinion, and also how they respond to the things that are going to happen to them as they continue to grow their business. My children are looking for kid entrepreneurs to interview about their business. Oh, awesome. Can you make a separate post for that so we can get some moms to sign their kids up? Collaborations are always great. See, this is perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Melissa said, reminds me of the young beauty pageant models. Didn't seem authentic at all. Yeah, just really weird. It's like, okay, it's like, are you being forced? Are you being kidnapped, little child? And then you wonder why people are like, are you sure she's having fun? Are you sure you're not torturing your child with business? Like, shouldn't he be playing soccer, or shouldn't she be playing with Barbies? Why is she writing a business plan? Because the kid, you have to make sure that they have the space and the opportunity to show up in a way that it translates into, yes, this is my choice and I'm having fun, So that's a good point. Yeah. So of course, yes, please post it in the group. Let me see. So we talked about connecting, collaborations, being authentic, what you should share, what they should not share. When I say you, I mean you and your young mogul, of course, but I understand that because we're all parenting responsibly, they are not in charge of their social media. So I already said, when we get to your page, we want to be really clear. I'm just going over the notes in my head, make sure I'm not missing anything. Your profile picture, we want to make it clear. It needs to be clear and consistent. So either it's going to be a picture of your young mogul with their chef hat or their book or whatever, or it's going to be a picture of their product, possibly. It depends, but you want to make sure that it's clear, like super clear, high resolution, very professional looking. If there are any product makers in the group, please make sure that your pictures are professional. I can't make a decision if I can't see it. I need to see it. I want it to look clean. And there are some ways. Ask me, I'll tell you. There are ways that you can do this that will cost you very little money. You can't afford professional photography. I know from Xandra's professional photography is so expensive. Like when she first relaunched, we paid like $30 a picture, and we're talking about over 40 products. Like it was ridiculous, to get really good pictures. But I had to learn, we had to learn how to, tweak things and work with the lighting. There's things you can do with an iPhone, or I have a Samsung Galaxy, and this thing takes amazing pictures. I think I have the S8 or something, but most phones nowadays take amazing pictures. So you want to make sure, make sure I didn't miss anything. You want to make sure that that's in that branding piece. Like, we're not really talking about branding, but in a way where, it's all, that whatever it is, the service, whatever it is, the product, it's very clear, clean, and I can clearly make a decision whether or not I want to invest in it. Okay. That's super important. One other thing I talked about vending, don't use I would advise against using your social media platform as just like a news bulletin or like the community posting place, so it's kind of tough for me to make a decision on whether I want to invest in your brand, your business, your product, your service, if all I see is flyers of where you're going to be, right? So take advantage of the Facebook features. Facebook is really good at giving you the opportunity to create events on your page. So people can go to the events page. If you don't have events or it's not something you want to do, you can hide that option. But you can also create events. You can go, so say, for example, Xandra is going to be vending at the Buffalo Amazingness Festival, right? I can go to their Facebook event page, and there's an option you can choose where you can add that event to your business page. So automatically, if you go to Xandra's business page, you'll see that she's also going to be at that event, and it shows up in her list of events. So you don't have to recreate an event for every event. If it's a legit event and they created an event page or, anything like that, you don't have to recreate the wheel. But if there is a flyer, make an album that says events, right? Post a flyer, have it post once a week or twice a week, very clean, describing, don't just throw the flyer up there, say, hey, I'm so excited to be featured vendor at so-and-so, so-and-so, come and support us. There will be shout out to the other vendors. There will be handmade goods, lots of good food, amazing music, and me, So you want to make sure you're speaking to people because people they see stuff all the time. So you want to make sure you're letting them know that, yeah, this is for you and this is why you should pay attention to this, So you don't want it to look like just like ads, you don't need that. But you also, the other thing is with these events, you want to make sure that you are, I don't see any other questions. You want to make sure that so now you told me you're going to be there, right? When you get there, I want to hear from you. Show me what your setup's like. It's like, finally arrived at the Everything Buffalo Festival. We're so excited. Post a picture, tell, in the middle of the day, let people know, because you don't know, this, especially if you're connected to a lot of people in your community, they need to know that you're there and you're ready and what you're selling. Show them, say, hey, do a video. This is what we're doing. We're so excited. We're here. Talk to your neighbors, let them see how exciting it is, because sometimes that hype will get people to come down. Right. And then if I'm not in your area, that hype will just draw me to you. And I'll be like, oh, what is that? Oh, what is that? Oh, that's nice. Oh, she's doing it. She's at this festival and this is how it showed up, how she showed up or how the festival worked out. Like, I want to know, tell me the whole story. We had a great day today at the Everything Buffalo Festival. It was so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you all for who supported and who showed up, and we had take some pictures with the people that are there. We met these amazing people. Make it an experience. That feels a lot better to me as someone in your community or following you as your tribe member than you just throwing a flyer at me and it's just something I can look at. And I'm like, oh, you did that, but what was that? What did it look like? So when it comes around again next year, I'm not going because you didn't tell me how good it was. You didn't tell me if it was worth my time and attention, So that's just another thing I wanted to bring up. Let me see. What else? I think that's about it. If you all have any questions, please let me know. I just, I'm watching and I'm looking, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm delivering some information that you can actually use based on my experiences. Believe me, most of the things pretty much all the things I talk about are from my experience from the last 6, almost 7 years of managing my young mogul, and what people respond to, because a lot of times you're like, I'm posting and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but I'm not getting a response, but you want to make sure that you're showing up. So choose 1, 2, 3 social media platforms that you are going to, connect with, where you're going to build your tribe or your community around, and stick to it. Be consistent. Schedule. There are tons of tools, like overwhelming amount of tools out there to help you be consistent. So don't start a, hey, it's Twisty Tuesday if you're not going to be twisty every Tuesday. Like, don't do it. Just keep it. If you're not sure how it's going to work, just be, just keep it simple right now and just talk about the process and, hey, it's me and I'm talking about this week and this is what we're doing. But they shouldn't be all over the place. I don't want to be confused. There's enough confusion around us. I just want you to be clear about who you are, who they are, who your child is, what they're selling, what service they're providing. And by all means, please, every time your child does a live, because I know some of us do live videos, a lot of the kids in here are, make sure they're properly introducing themselves, telling us who they are, what they do, and most importantly, how old they are. What? He's only 9? He's 10? She's only 16? Exactly. Listen, call it what you want, but that's what's going to grab them. That's the first thing. So you grab them with that amazing. But yes, I am a superstar and I'm only 16. I am amazing and I'm only 9, right? But then we're going to follow up with this beautiful brand and this amazing consistency and this awesome, social media content. And we're going to let them know that we're not playing, because we came to build a brand, to make money, to get noticed, and to actually be in business, right? So I'm talking to you if we're talking about your child being a business owner, a CEO, a founder, as opposed to this is just my hobby. And if you're still not sure, let's talk and I'll help you figure it out. So I wish you all, thank you all for watching. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to come to you and share with you. If you have any questions at all, drop them below. If you're watching the replay, thanks for hanging in with us. And as always, I am Tamara Zantel of Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantel, and I will talk to you later.